Hey friends, the holidays are upon us, and I just wanted to share some insights into sort of the things that we're most excited about as far as the holiday season, particularly as a foster and adoptive family, and then the things that might hit a little different if you are in this mode, if your family is a foster adoptive family, or even a family with some neurodivergence, you might relate with this. So the things we're excited about, of course, are being together, celebrating, seeing our kids enjoy the presents and the rituals like Christmas Eve service, and getting to see family and grandparents, and some downtime, all home. The routine is different, so we get a little bit more free time together. That's all really exciting, and I'm looking forward to those memories made and those connection points. This is really special memory making, bonding, growing time as a family, which is always a gift. But if you're in this mode, there might be a few things that you are holding on to, or might feel a little more challenging, that you might not have experienced this unless you're decided to walk this road. And that's the case for us. We started out, pretty typical family, three bio kids, close together, great, happy, content with that. And then the Lord put this call on our lives, to open our home through foster care. And unknown to us, God would send us, three kids in 4 years, that and are going to be our forever kids. So our family dynamic has changed dramatically and quickly. And I don't know what we really expected when we said, okay, we'll open our home, but I know I could never have imagined that this would be the story that we are living. And it's great, it's beautiful, but it definitely changes how we handle all the things. And one thing that is different is holidays. And so some of the things that are a little different now is, and some of maybe just some really honest anxieties that I have, as we enter the season, is first is the change in routine. Our older kids homeschool, which is such a gift, but I found with at least in this age group, we have our the younger two, their school age are 4 and 5. They really thrive with like a really structured routine. So when that is sort of thrown to the wind, things like vacations, things like Christmas and summer break, things can be a little more challenging. And it's just because their brains are functioning a little more differently, because of lots of different factors: trauma, exposure, genetic differences, all these things. Right there's some struggles to living life without a really structured routine, which their normal routine offers that with school, and then how we handle the rest of the day, breakfast, dinner, all of that. And that really helps keep the sense of security, and sort of helps with some of the impulse control and different things. So I personally always feel a little anxious when the routine is disrupted, such as Christmas break, because there's some beautiful moments, and then there's some a lot of harder moments because our kids are struggling with the overstimulation, and how to handle all these social situations where there's a little bit less clarity on what they need to be doing. And then we're all just generally a little bit more taxed because we're experiencing this more intensive together time. So the patience runs thin all across the home, right? So that's one thing that is different. The change in routine really creates some beauty and then some challenges, right? And then the other thing is just anticipating how and when and in what way we're going to engage in the greater family that we have, the birth family. That's a new thing for us that we're still learning, and also anticipating how that's going to impact our kids, and how we're going to fit that in, and how we talk about those things. And so it's a beautiful thing. I'm so thankful that we have the chance, for some of our kids to engage with birth family in a really special way. Not all of them have that gift, so I appreciate it. But it also comes with a whole another set of considerations, that we obviously never had to handle before. And then another thing is just, are we incorporating the right traditions to honor our children? Our family is got now different backgrounds for our kids, and we come from one really, distinct background, me and my husband, and our three biological kids. So sometimes it's hard to really consider, like, are we honoring their different histories and backgrounds, especially because we don't know a lot about them, especially with the being in foster care. So it can be challenging and a little just a mental load of, like, am I doing this right? And I honestly don't know. And so my prayer and hope is that, their kids see that we are making effort, and even in our failure there's grace. But who knows? I can't say what they'll feel when they get older, and I can't know if I'm doing it quite right, because every situation is a little different. But we are thinking about it, and that's another consideration that is different. And then there's just the general sense of just, are we providing meeting needs well, and added consideration of fitting in different appointments and things in this season that would not be a part of our routine, you know, when we did not have our home open to foster care. So those are just some insights into things that you might be looking forward to, and things that might be a little bit harder, and mostly just wanting to share because so that you're not alone. Another thing that always weighs heavy is that all my kids feel equally, or feel that we're really connecting with them. Some kids in our home, that's easier than others, and for factors that are way more complicated and hard for me to understand. So, but that's just the reality. Like, we come into this really, you know, with open hands and open hearts, but we're broken people, so we're doing our best with a less than perfect situation. So another thing that just weighs on me is that all my kids feel equally loved and seen in this season, and that we make sure we take that time to really connect as best as we can, because there there are sometimes when that can feel super easy, and sometimes it's harder, especially when there's some struggles with regulation behavior, with routine changes, all of that can make it harder to feel as close and connected to your kid as you want. And that's just real life. So really finding ways to see the positive in our children, connect with them, praise them for them who they are, and offer sufficient grace for the things that are more challenging. So I hope that helps you, and I hope to share more as we go, just about some of the joys, some of the struggles, some of the considerations, some of the, just honest reflections on this life that God has called us into. Because I think, especially as adoptive parents, the world, they kind of hand over that adoption day and say, okay, great, celebrate. It's all good now, right? Everything's settled. But really, that's like, and this is true for all parenting. Like, it's when the baby comes, that's the starting line, not the finish, right? When the adoption day comes, that's the starting line of engaging in a very unique parenting scenario. And I can say that with a lot of confidence because I have kids that came through biology, and then I have kids that have joined our family through adoption. So I can very clearly see the differences, and sort of the way these stories are working out, the challenges, the joys. Um, and adoption is unique. And so I think we all need a little bit more honest conversation. As parents or caregivers or foster parents, or grandma and grandpas that are stepping up, or relatives, wherever you are in this, about there's real needs that we need extra grace, extra strength, extra community to uh, get through this. And each season is a little different. Each kid is a little different. But the real thing is we're not alone. There are others in this journey that we can connect, we can rely on, and we can learn from each other, and we can commiserate and say this sometimes is hard, right? And that's okay. But the point is that we are here, we're showing up, we're doing our best, we're learning, we're growing, and we're committed to our people. And that's all we can do. That's what we can give, and continue to pray and trust God for our homes. And the outcomes, the long game, we have to surrender to Him, and that's really the place that I'm coming from. And so I hope to connect more on this discussion about the uniqueness of foster care adoption and how it impacts every season in our home.